Hi, today we're talking about the Feast of Christ the King. There are 3 points we'd like to make perhaps about this Feast of Christ the King. The first is that let's look at 3 ideas about kingship. First of all, that when the wise men come looking for the king, they don't find the king because they look for the king in the wrong places. If we're going to look for Christ the King, we're not going to find him in the halls of the rich and powerful. The second is that perhaps the image of kingship that we use today is not terribly helpful, because we don't live in a world of kings and queens. We live in a world of presidents and prime ministers. Perhaps we should reflect more upon our leaders as we think about our own prime minister, about the new president of the United States. One of the things that we understand very clearly is that they're going to be judged by their actions, not just by their words. Their words might sound fantastic, but unless they put them into action, they're not going to be able to be accepted as genuine leaders. The third thing is the image that we get in the readings today is of Christ the King who comes, who unselfconsciously goes about creating the kingdom in the world that they find themselves. Those who actually do it don't even seek credit for what they're doing. They say, when did we see you hungry and naked, and we fed you and we clothed you? And the king says, when you did it to even the least of these people who you tried to serve, when you actually tried to live in the world as though this sort of stuff mattered, that's when you actually did it. But perhaps the story about the sheep and the goats is about the people who don't see the sort of world that they want to live in, and that they choose to ignore the needs of the thirsty, the hungry, the sick, the homeless, and they fail to recognize that if the kingdom of God is going to be established on earth, then God's people are going to need to, in the service of Christ the King, live out the hope that kingdom brings, and bring a message of hope, reconciliation, forgiveness, love and compassion to the world, that we are to live with our eyes open, not with our eyes shut. It's the sort of world in which we choose to live that will establish Christ's kingdom, which we'll do consciously as we follow Jesus Christ the King. In the clearest image of the kingship of Christ, we see the King who is not enthroned in Westminster Abbey, who is not surrounded by pomp and pageantry, but the King who is born in a manger, who is enthroned principally upon a cross, who is crowned not with glory and honour, but with shame and indignity. Christ came, so he tells us, not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life in the service as a ransom for many. May your search for Christ the King lead you to places where you don't expect to find him. May you find that your actions actually give the force of your words. And may you, like Christ, seek not to be served, but to serve, and to give your life in the service of others. Hope you have a good week this week serving Christ the King. See ya.